I never thought I'd be sitting in my own driveway, staring at an empty parking spot where my car should have been, feeling like a stranger in my own marriage. But there I was, on a cold Tuesday morning in March, holding my coffee mug with trembling hands as the reality of what my husband had done began to sink in. My name is Sarah, and this is the story of how one incredibly arrogant decision by my husband led to the most satisfying moment of my entire life. Trust me, you'll want to hear every single detail of this. It all started 3 years ago when I married David. He was charming, successful, and came from what he constantly reminded me was a prominent family. His mother, Patricia, was a piece of work from day one. She never thought I was good enough for her precious son, despite the fact that I had my own successful career as a senior marketing director at a major tech company. Now, about my car. It wasn't just any car. It was a brand new BMW X5 in midnight blue, fully loaded with every feature you could imagine. But here's the thing that David and his mother never seemed to understand or care about. I had bought that car with my money. Money I had earned through years of hard work, countless late nights, and climbing the corporate ladder. My father had taught me from a young age to be financially independent, to never rely on anyone else for the things I needed or wanted. That BMW represented my success, my independence, my hard work paying off. David drove a nice car too, a Mercedes that his parents had helped him purchase. But he always seemed bothered by the fact that my car was newer, more expensive, and that I had bought it entirely on my own. I should have seen the red flags then, but love makes you overlook things you shouldn't. That Tuesday morning, I came downstairs ready for work, my presentation materials in hand. I had a huge pitch meeting with a potential client worth millions to our company. I grabbed my keys from the bowl by the door, kissed David goodbye as he sat reading the newspaper, and headed out to the garage. The garage was empty. I stood there for a solid minute, thinking maybe I was losing my mind. Had I parked on the street? No, I distinctly remembered pulling into the garage the night before. I rushed back inside, my heart pounding. David! I called out, trying to keep the panic out of my voice. Where's my car? He looked up from his newspaper, with an expression that I can only describe as casual indifference. Oh, that. I gave it to my mother. I stood frozen, sure I had misheard him. You what? I gave it to my mother, he repeated, taking a sip of his coffee as if we were discussing the weather. Her car has been having issues, and she mentioned yesterday that she needed something reliable. Your BMW is perfect for her. I had it delivered to her house this morning. I felt like the floor had disappeared beneath my feet. You gave my car away. The car I bought with my own money. Without even asking me. He actually had the audacity to look annoyed. Sarah, don't be dramatic. It's just a car. Besides, my mother needs it more than you do. You can take the bus, or get a ride with someone from work. Or I can drop you off on my way to the office. Just a car. My voice was rising now, and I didn't care. David, that car cost me $75,000. Money I earned. And you just gave it away. He stood up, straightening his tie. My mother is family, Sarah. Family takes care of each other. You're being selfish right now. Do you know how that looks? My mother drives around in an old Honda while my wife has a brand new luxury SUV. It's embarrassing. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Embarrassing? What's embarrassing is that your grown son thinks he can just give away his wife's property without permission. David, that's theft. Theft? He laughed, actually laughed. Don't be ridiculous. We're married. What's yours is mine, remember? Community property and all that. Now, I really don't have time for this tantrum. I have a meeting at 9. Do you need a ride or not? A tantrum. He called my legitimate anger over him stealing my car a tantrum. I'll find my own way, I said coldly. And David? We are going to have a very serious conversation about this tonight. He waved dismissively as he grabbed his briefcase. Fine, fine. We'll talk later. Try to calm down by then, okay? You're overreacting. The door closed behind him, and I stood alone in our kitchen, shaking with rage and disbelief. I called my office and explained I'd be late due to an emergency. My boss, thankfully, was understanding and moved my presentation to the afternoon. Then I did what I should have done from the beginning of my relationship with David. I called my father. My dad, Robert Chen, was a retired attorney who had built his own successful law firm from nothing. He came from humble beginnings, worked his way through law school while supporting my mother and me, and had taught me everything I knew about standing up for myself and knowing my worth. He'd always been polite about David, but I knew he had reservations. Just make sure you keep your finances separate, sweetheart, he'd told me before the wedding. Just in case. I'd followed his advice, thank God. The BMW was titled in my name only, purchased with funds from my personal account that David had no access to. Hi, honey, Dad answered on the second ring. Isn't it a work day? Everything okay? And then I told him everything. About coming down to find my car gone. About David's casual admission that he'd given it away to his mother. About him calling my anger a tantrum and an overreaction. The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. When my father finally spoke, his voice had taken on what my mother and I called his courtroom tone. Sarah, listen to me very carefully. That car is titled solely in your name, correct? Yes, Dad. And David took it without your permission and gave it to his mother. Yes? That's theft. Grand theft auto, to be precise. Your car is worth over $70,000, which makes this a serious felony in our state. My heart was pounding. Dad, I don't want to send David to jail. I'm not talking about jail, honey. Not yet, anyway. I'm talking about leverage. Where is your mother-in-law's address? I gave it to him, my mind racing. Okay. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to make a few phone calls. First to Jim at the police department, yes, the chief of police, we go way back. Then to my friend who runs the premier towing company in the city. And then I'm going to take a little drive to have a chat with your mother-in-law. I suggest you take the day off work if possible. Things are about to get very interesting. Dad, what are you planning? I could hear the smile in his voice. Justice, sweetheart. Just justice. I'll call you back in an hour. True to his word, exactly 53 minutes later, my phone rang. Sarah, your car is currently being towed from Patricia's driveway as we speak. It will be at the police impound lot within the hour, held as evidence of grand theft auto. I've filed a police report on your behalf. I also had a very enlightening conversation with your mother-in-law, explaining that she is currently in possession of stolen property, which makes her an accessory to theft. She was surprisingly cooperative after that. I couldn't help it. I started laughing, tears streaming down my face. Dad, you're amazing. I'm not done yet. I've also prepared divorce papers for you. Now, before you say anything, you don't have to file them. But I want you to have them, just in case. They are very favorable to you, given the circumstances. And Sarah? I've also contacted a locksmith. He'll be at your house in 2 hours to change all the locks. I don't want David coming home and taking anything else that belongs to you or doing anything crazy. You think he'd do that? Honey, he stole your car and called your anger about it a tantrum. I don't trust him as far as I can throw him, and I'm 72 years old with a bad back. I spent the next hour in a daze, calling my office to take a personal day, which they granted without question. Then I waited. The locksmith arrived right on schedule, a friendly older gentleman who changed every lock in the house while making small talk about the weather. At 2:47 p.m., David called my cell phone. I let it ring. He called again. And again. By the fourth call, I answered. "Sarah. What the hell did you do?" His voice was so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "I'm sorry, what did I do?" I kept my voice calm and level. "The police came to my mother's house. They towed your car. They are saying I stole it. My mother is hysterical. She's talking about being an accessory to theft. The neighbors saw everything. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is?" "Humiliating?" I repeated. "You want to talk about humiliation, David? How about coming downstairs to find your car missing? How about your husband telling you he gave away something you worked hard to buy? How about being told you're having a tantrum when you're rightfully upset? Sarah, this is insane. You called the cops on me. On my mother. Over a car. Over my car, David. The car I bought with my own money. The car you had absolutely no right to give away. That's called theft. Grand theft auto, actually." My father explained it all very clearly to the police chief. There was a pause. "Your father? Robert got involved. Did you think he wouldn't? You stole from his daughter." "I didn't steal anything. We are married. What's yours is mine." "Actually, David, that's not how it works. Especially when the property in question was purchased before our marriage with separate funds and titled in only my name." My father's lawyer friends were very clear about that. Another pause. I could practically hear him thinking. Okay. I messed up. I see that now. Let me come home and we can talk about this like adults." "I don't think so. I've changed the locks. You're not welcome here right now. You changed the..." "Sarah, that's my house too. Actually, if you check the deed, you'll find it's in my name only. I bought it before we got married, remember? You moved into my house. My father's attorney wanted me to add you to the deed after the wedding, but you said it didn't matter, because we were married and it was all the same anyway." I could hear his breathing getting heavier. "What do you want, Sarah?" "What do I want? I want my husband to respect me. I want my husband to understand that he can't just take my things and give them away. I want my husband to acknowledge that what he did was wrong. But honestly, David, I'm not sure I'm going to get any of those things, am I? This is ridiculous. I'm coming home right now." "With what keys?" "I told you, I changed the locks." "And David? My father's lawyer has prepared divorce papers. I have them sitting on my kitchen table right now. I haven't decided if I'm going to file them or not, but every time you raise your voice at me or dismiss my feelings, I get closer to signing them." The silence that followed was the longest of my life. "Divorce papers?" His voice was flat now, the anger replaced with something else. Shock, maybe. Or fear. "Yes. Did you really think I was going to just accept what you did? That I was going to let you walk all over me and treat my property like it's yours to do with as you please? Sarah, please. Let's talk about this. I'll apologize to you. We can work this out." "Oh, you'll apologize? How generous of you. Will your mother apologize too? The one who took my car knowing full well I hadn't agreed to give it to her. She didn't know. I told her you were okay with it. You lied to your own mother, then. That's even worse, David. I heard him take a shaky breath. What do you want me to do? I want you to think very carefully about whether you actually respect me as an equal partner in this marriage, or if you see me as someone you can control and make decisions for. I want you to think about whether your mother's comfort is more important than your wife's autonomy. And I want you to think about whether you're capable of being the kind of husband I deserve. Where am I supposed to go tonight? I'm sure your mother has a spare room. After all, she was happy enough to take my car. The least she can do is put you up for a few nights while you figure things out. Sarah. I'm hanging up now, David. When you're ready to have a real conversation, one where you actually listen and take responsibility, you can call me. But not before then. I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking, but I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, powerful. My father called an hour later to check on me. How are you holding up, sweetheart? I'm okay, Dad. Actually, I'm better than okay. Thank you for having my back. Always, honey. Always. Now, I spoke with the police chief. They are willing to drop the charges if David returns the car immediately, and if you confirm that you've received it back in good condition. But that's your choice. You can press charges if you want to. It's your right. What do you think I should do? I think you should do whatever feels right to you. But Sarah, whether you stay married to this man or not, he needs to understand that there are consequences for treating you this way. Real consequences. Otherwise, he'll just do something like this again. He was right, of course. He usually was. The next 3 days were some of the strangest of my life. David called multiple times, alternating between apologetic and defensive. His mother called too, which I didn't answer. She left a voicemail that started with "How dare you," and ended with her crying about how I was destroying her family. I deleted it. My car was returned to me from the impound lot, and I inspected every inch of it. Patricia had put 200 miles on it in just 2 days. There was a small scratch on the rear bumper that hadn't been there before. I documented everything with photos. On day 4, there was a knock on my door at 10 a.m. I looked through the peephole to see David standing there in a wrinkled suit, holding what appeared to be flowers. He looked terrible, like he hadn't slept. I opened the door, but didn't invite him in. Sarah, please. Can we talk? You can talk from there. He winced but nodded. I've been doing a lot of thinking over the past few days. Staying with my mother, actually being around her constantly, made me realize something. She's very controlling. And I've let her control me. And by extension, I've tried to control you. I crossed my arms but said nothing. What I did was wrong. Not just wrong, it was a violation of your trust, your autonomy, and your property. I had no right to take your car. I had no right to give it away. And I had no right to tell you that you were overreacting when you got upset about it. Go on. My mother raised me to believe that her needs should come first. That as her son, I should always prioritize her happiness. And somewhere along the way, I extended that to mean that I should make decisions for everyone around me based on what I think is best. But that's not how marriage works. That's not how respect works. He shifted the flowers in his hands. I've made an appointment with a therapist. A marriage counselor, if you're willing to come with me. And I've also made an appointment for individual therapy, because I clearly have some issues with my mother that I need to work through. I told my mother that she was wrong to accept the car, and I told her that she needs to apologize to you. And what did she say to that? He looked down. She hung up on me. But Sarah, I don't care. I'm choosing you. I'm choosing our marriage. If she can't respect that, then we'll have to limit our contact with her. I studied his face, looking for any sign that this was manipulation or a performance. All I saw was exhaustion, and what appeared to be genuine remorse. David, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me. Do you actually see me as your equal? As someone whose opinion matters just as much as yours? He met my eyes. I don't know if I did before. But I want to. I need to. Because losing you would be the biggest mistake of my life, and I've already made enough mistakes in the past week to last a lifetime. You lied to your mother about me agreeing to give her the car. I know. I've told her the truth. That was part of why she hung up on me. She put a scratch on my car. I'll pay to have it fixed. Out of my personal account, not our joint account. You called my legitimate anger a tantrum. I was dismissive and condescending. You had every right to be furious. You have every right to still be furious. I leaned against the door frame, suddenly feeling very tired. I don't know if I can trust you again, David. I know. And I don't expect you to, not right away. But I'm willing to do whatever it takes to earn that trust back. Therapy, both individual and couples. Setting boundaries with my mother. Actually listening when you talk instead of just waiting for my turn to speak. Treating you like the intelligent, capable, independent woman you are instead of someone who needs me to make decisions for her. Those are big promises. I know. And I'm terrified I'll screw them up. But I'm more terrified of losing you. We stood there in silence for a long moment. Finally, I said, I'm not ready to let you move back in yet. His face fell, but he nodded. I understand. But I'm willing to go to counseling with you. And I'm willing to see if you actually mean what you're saying. Those divorce papers are still on my kitchen table, David. And they'll stay there until I'm convinced that you've actually changed. That's fair. That's more than fair. Thank you, Sarah. Don't thank me yet. You have a lot of work to do. And David, if you ever do anything like this again, if you take something of mine without asking, if you dismiss my feelings, if you prioritize your mother's wants over my needs, I will file those papers without a second thought. Are we clear? Crystal clear. Good. Now, I have work to do. You can call me tomorrow to give me the details about the counseling appointment. He nodded, set the flowers down on the porch, and turned to leave. Then he paused and looked back. Sarah. Your father is terrifying. Despite everything, I smiled. I know. You're lucky he likes you enough to give you a second chance. Not many people get that. That was 6 months ago. David did follow through on his promises. We've been in couples counseling every week, and he's been in individual therapy twice a week. It hasn't been easy. There have been setbacks and arguments and moments where I've seriously considered just signing those papers. But there have also been breakthroughs. David has learned to actually listen, to check in with me before making decisions that affect us both, and to understand that my independence isn't a threat to him, it's one of my strengths. The biggest turning point came when his mother demanded that David choose between her and me. She actually said those words, "It's her or me." Without hesitation, David said, "Then I choose Sarah. I'll always choose Sarah." Patricia didn't speak to either of us for 2 months. Honestly, it was the most peaceful 2 months of our marriage. She eventually came around, sort of. She sent a stiff, formal apology letter that clearly had been written and rewritten multiple times. It wasn't warm, and it wasn't particularly sincere sounding, but it was something. David has maintained firm boundaries with her, limiting visits and making it clear that I will always be his priority. As for my BMW, it's still parked in my garage, without a scratch on it after I got the rear bumper fixed, which David paid for, as promised. Every time I get in it, I remember that I am capable of standing up for myself, that I have people like my father who will always have my back, and that I never have to settle for being treated as less than I deserve. David moved back in 3 months ago, after our therapist agreed that we'd made enough progress. The divorce papers are still in my desk drawer, though. Not as a threat, but as a reminder, to both of us, that I won't stay in a marriage where I'm not respected. My father still calls every Sunday to check in. Last week, he asked how things were going with David. Better, Dad. A lot better. Good. But you keep those divorce papers handy, just in case. Already ahead of you. He laughed. That's my girl. Looking back, as terrible as that Tuesday morning was, standing in my garage, staring at the empty space where my car should have been, it was also a gift. It showed me exactly who David was at that moment, someone who didn't respect me, who saw my things as his to distribute, who valued his mother's convenience over his wife's autonomy. But it also gave him the chance to become someone better. Someone who recognizes that marriage is a partnership between equals, not a hierarchy where one person gets to make all the decisions. Could I have handled it differently? Maybe. I could have just demanded my car back and left it at that. But the truth is, the car wasn't really the issue. It was everything the car represented: my hard work, my independence, my right to be consulted about decisions that affected my life. And sometimes, when someone crosses a line that big, you need to make some noise. You need to show them that there are consequences. You need to call your father, file a police report, change the locks, and keep those divorce papers close at hand. Because respect isn't something you should have to beg for in a marriage. It's something you should be able to expect as the bare minimum. My advice to anyone in a similar situation: know your worth. Document everything. Keep your finances separate. And for the love of God, have at least one person in your life like my father, someone who will drop everything to defend you, who will make the hard calls when you're too emotional to think straight, who will remind you that you deserve better than being treated like your feelings don't matter. Oh, and one more thing: never, ever underestimate the power of a well-timed call to someone who knows exactly what to do with an arrogant husband and his entitled mother. The BMW still runs like a dream, by the way. And now, every time David sees it parked in our garage, I know exactly what he's thinking: that's Sarah's car. The one she bought with her own money. The one I had no right to touch. As it should be. ***, thank you so much for reading my story. I hope it resonated with you, or at least gave you some satisfaction seeing justice served. If you enjoyed this tale of standing up for yourself and not letting anyone, not even family, walk all over you, I would absolutely love it if you could subscribe to this channel. By subscribing, you'll be joining a community of people who believe in self-respect, setting boundaries, and not backing down when someone tries to take advantage of you. I share stories like this one regularly, real-life situations where people found their courage, stood their ground, and came out stronger on the other side. Hit that subscribe button below, and don't forget to click the bell icon so you never miss a new story. I post several times a week, covering everything from family drama to workplace conflicts, relationship boundaries to satisfying moments of justice being served.